Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Just checking to see if we've got enough people in here. All right. How's everybody doing? Glad everybody could join us today for the Mocap Content Creator Conference. I'm Justin, your host. I am one of the product specialists here at Movella. Today, we have a stellar lineup of 5 speakers who are diving deep into all things creative using the Xsens motion capture suite, from blending live performances seamlessly into virtual production to amazing music content creation, and even crafting innovative integrated tools. During the time the speakers are presenting, there is a question tab, so please post any questions you'd like to ask, and we will do our best to ask the presenters at the end of their presentation. And on that note, let's jump right in. Our first speaker is an amazing indie film creator who's made some unbelievable short films like Joyce, Trapped, and AI Experiments. After serving 8 years in the U.S. Marines, Edward Green decided to focus on making his dreams a reality and began his journey to become a filmmaker. Everybody, please help me welcome Edward Green.
All right, everybody. With that little intro that we had there, I'm going to just kind of make sure that I give a little feedback. You know, when it comes to all of this stuff. First off, using this PowerPoint thing, I haven't done that in a while, so that's definitely one of those things that I got to get back into used to. But ultimately, let's dive into this. So when it comes to what I do, I'm Edward Green. I'm a filmmaker, a creative. I like to really just get out there and make things happen. You know what I mean? I'm definitely one of those people that when it comes to getting things done, that's what a lot of people know me for. So now we're going to give a little bit of background and kind of go into some of the things that I do and why I'm doing it. So as a kid, probably everybody on here, you probably wanted to be creative. You probably thought about different stories. You know what I mean? I was like infatuated in love with movies when it comes to what I saw on TV, when I saw in the theater. It was that drive. Like, it made me feel something, you know what I mean? And at the same time, it helped me like get out of certain scenarios in real life. So we had this go into a fantasy world, and movies and animations and things like that was that kind of vessel. It was that tool that I utilized. So growing up, I was in the Marines for 8 years, and doing that kind of gave me a lot more context on the world. It expanded my horizon, you can say. But what it really ultimately did was it gave me other, outlets. It let me see the world. It let me see from different perspectives, different stories that I could like to tell, and how some of those people in that world actually lived. So I know some of this is like right now, and it's like, hey, what does this got to do with the whole blending live action, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to get there. So when it comes to that Marine Corps that I served 8 years being a Marine, that transitioned to helping pay for my schooling. So if you see on here, I went to Academy of Art University and basically graduated there. One of the reasons why I wanted to put that in there is because of this story. And this kind of gives you a little background of helping understand why I created what I've created so far. It was this teacher in my directing actors class. And what she basically told me was, if you want to make it, you have to move to Hollywood. You got to move to LA. You got to get out of here, out of San Francisco. You have to go out there. And to me, growing up, I've always felt like if you want to make something happen, you can figure it out. You don't always have to necessarily go to a certain location. You can make them come to you. Now, I definitely had a nice debate with that teacher where I was like, you know what? Ultimately, you can build a lot of things from scratch. And it's definitely where the world is going. It's going to be that kind of tool. We have phones. We can be able to look into putting things on YouTube. You can be able to build up your audience. So I didn't necessarily, I understood what she meant by going to LA. But I was like, I'm going to make it myself. I'm going to build it. And then I'm going to make those things happen, which in 2010, I basically built my business, Edward Green Films. That also had me working on my YouTube channel, GT Short Stories, where I worked with my brother, and we just talked and discussed of how to be able to bring these stories to life. But that also put me down a path of wanting to be able to create a feature film. Y'all see I have on here, Pick a Side. That was my first feature film that I did. I'm working on my second one. Like, wink, wink, right? So that was my first feature film, and that feature film, it was self-financed. I basically wrote it, directed it, edited. I wanted to build this thing from scratch, like I mentioned. And I did it all here in the Bay Area. And doing that, I understood the process. Now, this goes into that next part of my journey of what I saw as a kid. I used to see things like Godzilla, or you see the Planet of the Apes. You see these type of films and you're like, how do they make those though? How can you be able to produce and create that type of content as an independent? Because it ain't like, you know exactly everything that you're doing, but you want to be able to look into how do you basically blend live action and animation to be able to create something. And that was one of the things that led me down a path to 3D software. I started off looking into Dash 3D. My older brother told me about that. I was messing with Adobe After Effects, but I still didn't see how to really bring those tools to life. So I saw the world. I was like, this looks good. I liked what I'm seeing. It seems like it's something that's going to work if you learn how to use it. So to me, I didn't know how to use it, but I dove in, and I'm just hitting the bricks hard, right? Trying to learn how to be able to bring these things to life. And when I saw that, looking at a lot of the behind the scenes when it comes to some of these films, you start seeing them more in motion capture suits. And I was like, motion cap, okay, cool. So that left me looking into being an independent and pretty much a one-man band. For the most part, I just kind of operate here in my home office, and I'll have my wife help with some of the behind-the-scene camera work, or I even have her be talent sometimes, and my older brother, and we'll kind of do some of these things. So now it was like, let me find the best mocap solution that's affordable, but at the same time, like it's easy for independent, like somebody like myself that I can just be able to take it in and look. So I started looking down the path, right? You start seeing, I'm like, okay, let me see. Ooh, I want to see this one, Planet Apes. I love that movie. And then you start looking and you're like, whoa, that stuff is expensive. Now, I understand being in this world of creativity, that finding your outlet of what you want to be able to do, you still got real life. You got bills, you got family. You have to be able to do this. Now, as an independent creator, I understand that we all have these things to look into. So I was like, I can't look into that stuff. That shit is out the picture. Excuse me if I curse, y'all. When I talk, I just tell it like it is. This is me, right? So you start seeing things like Thor, Ragnarok. You're like, oh, now I can go into a gazillion of those things, but that's not necessarily what I want to really do. I just really want to talk about, I saw these things behind the scenes, and you see them with these mocap solutions. You see that they're out of range. So you start thinking, okay, I need to find something that I can be able to bring a character to life, or put myself in like an Unreal Engine background and be able to blend that. So I can create some of the stories that I wanted to create. Like as a kid, I wanted to be able to tell these stories, and, and you can go far in your imagination, but how do you bring them to reality, right? So then I saw something like this. Give me a second. So we all probably saw it, Mandalorian. I love the show. I'm like, oh man. And then I saw some behind the scenes, and I was like, they're using Movella Xsens suits. What? Okay. Oh man, this is something. So I started digging deeper. I saw the Rococos, and I'm not going to start just naming out, mocap solutions, but when I saw the Xsens, I dove in it. I started researching. I started asking questions, and then I looked and I was like, you know what? This is affordable. You know what I mean? And when we say affordable, we understand that it still costs something. But as an independent creator, you can be able to look at this in your budget, especially if you're looking at camera gear, lenses. You can buy a lens and spend $3,000-$4,000, even upwards, and buy a camera. So I was like, this is affordable, and it doesn't seem that hard to use. So I dove in and I went in and I pulled the trigger. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on and get it. So I went and looked into grabbing up the Movella Xsens, a Windows starter. And that's how it started, y'all. That was the start of me being able to practice and start storytelling and bringing that stuff to life. And I had to practice. I had to go in, right? So you had a lot of that right there. When it comes to, this is one of the bar stories, short scenes that I created, and these things are on my YouTube channel. Then I wanted to go a step further. I wanted to try to blend in and make things look a little bit more real, right? So this is me back into Unreal Engine. Give me a second. I'm going to play a little bit of this.
only focused on winning. You won't get that here. Only pain, torture. I am a warrior.
Now, showing that right there is me trying to understand more of Unreal Engine and making characters look a little bit more like live action, right? So, we saw these movies, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to practice, because it ain't like I'm the greatest at Unreal Engine. When you look at that, you can definitely get, you know what I mean? You could get discouraged. You can look at it and be like, whoa, this stuff is too much. And ultimately, I don't know if I can do it, but you still kind of gear into it and you just keep going and diving in. And what it does is it takes a lot of time. Now, me being a father, a husband, I have a 9-to-5, you have these things, you still have to try to make sure that you can learn, but at the same time, you can continue having family time. You can be able to make sure you have time for work. So you have to understand the balance. And that was the one thing. It's almost like I'm talking about blending animation with live action, but you got to blend when it comes to your creativity of being able to go into that world with your real world too. So I'm also blending. And to do that, it's only right that I start adding my kids in, right? So I started teaching them along the way and letting them put on the mocap suits and really tell their stories. Because I knew as a kid, those are some of the things that I wanted to do, was tell stories, and I didn't have an outlet for it. So I had to learn.
And action.
Now, these things is really good because it not just gives my kids the opportunity to play around and tell their stories, but it also gives me more time to practice and learn how to utilize the tools and try to make sure that I can nail them in and blend them to a point where it's going to be, beneficial for everybody. I'll say that in a sense. The kids love it. I love it. They're learning. We're kind of, growing and learning, building these stories together. So then it got me going further when it comes to blending those worlds. And this right here is when I'm trying to make sure that you can tell those stories, you can build them to a point where you can utilize the tools. And ultimately, what this is practice, practice, practice. You're not going to just, grab a mocap suit and learn how to do it. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to research. And now that's what I do when it comes to my GT Short Stories YouTube channel, is that I get a chance to be able to practice telling these stories. And some of them might be where this is just where I focus on lighting. And then the other one might be, this is just when I focus on blending and really trying to make sure that I utilize the tools the right way. And that's kind of what I was doing here when it comes to it. Now it was that time, right? So when it comes to me blending this live action with animation, I wanted to make sure that I can blend myself into this world. And because I knew I wanted a story to tell, and that story would have to do with when it comes to a lot of things that I experienced in life. So this is some of that practice when it comes to those blending live actions with animation. All right. So when doing this, it was definitely a lot of practice needed. It was hard, but it wasn't anything that couldn't be done. And to do that, that was putting myself into the Unreal Engine, into that animated world. And then I had to go practice how to do the opposite, because now it gets to a point where now it's like, oh, you figured that out. You can be able to put your head into this world and connect it to an animated character that you wore the suit, you wore the mocap suit for, and then you can be able to blend that. Now I had to look into, okay, let's do the opposite. Let's go over and bring the animation out into the live action world. see here, you have me. This is basically the office studio that I'm in right now. I do a lot of testing and practice when it comes to utilizing the stuff that I have, and that was this tool right here. Now, the one thing that I noticed when it comes to me creating is that it was definitely challenging, and it was hard to find like tutorials and training on how to do this. So being that I have my own channel, what I took that initiative, or in a sense of, is that I understand how hard it is to figure out these things and learn. So what I started doing was I build my channel with helping others as well. So I got this sped up right now. The full video is on my channel of the breakdown of how I can be able to go into all the steps that I take, because it's not necessarily I look at it as giving back. Ultimately, what I see is when it comes to creating, we have the imagination, we have the, you know what I mean, we can have the drive, but we need to have the information. We need to have the knowledge of how to do it, where to. And some of it, to me, I look at some of this tech is fairly new. Things are being updated all the time. And when it comes to how to be able to utilize these things, me being able to have a platform where I can be able to teach how to actually blend and make those things happen is one of the things that I'm really looking to doing, because it's going to not necessarily just, you know what I mean, take away from anything. It ultimately is just going to add to this, I'll say, to this tribe of creators when it comes to being able to have the right tools and how to do it. So like this right here, this is me showing, okay, I'm using fishing string and I'm pulling the door open and I'm using that as the plate. And then I'm taking into Unreal and I'm using an alpha channel and then I'm exporting that out. And I basically give a full breakdown of everything that I'm doing. And what that does is it opens up the world, like I said, to be able to have everybody be able to have access to it, not just saying that, okay, I'm keeping these things a secret. Because ultimately, if you have a story to tell, there's opportunities for you to be able to tell it. And some of the tools that's getting in our way is information, and us being able to get that information out there to the world is one of the things that I look at doing, you know what I mean? Because it's still going to be a story. It's still going to take hard work, grinding. It still takes all of that, even if you have the information. So if you have that drive, I'm just opening it up a door so you can make sure that, hey, at least now you can be able to go in and get that information. So that's one thing that I really find myself doing when it comes to being creative and making things happen. So with all of that stuff being in a practice and blending and learning, then it was time. Because like I said from the beginning, I'm a storyteller. I'm a filmmaker. I want to create. I want to be able to go in and make something happen and share it to the world. I want people to see the things that I create, like it, hate it, judge it. I want you to be a part of it. So ultimately, that led to me creating my short film, because the tests were done. And then, you know, you're always learning. But I wanted to create a short film. So I created Joyce. And Joyce is something that's all done inside this house. You know what I mean? This is where it was like, hey, you don't necessarily need to get out there and go to Hollywood. What you can do is you can be able to create something and tell your stories in your home. And that's what I did. Now, when it comes to it, I understand that you can be able to go out and make other things happen and build up and ask for a bigger audience and try to go out there and fundraise and all of that. I'm not saying. If you just want to tell a story and you have the tools, you have the knowledge, that's what I wanted to do here. So.
Sergeant.
Please, Terry, wake up.
Sergeant Brown. Time to get back in the fight. I had a bad morning with the California sun. Gonna run all day till the run is done. Motivation.
And I looked at, when it came to Joyce, it's an opportunity to really tell some of those stories, and that's what I was doing here. It's an opportunity for me to express some of the thoughts and ideas that I have in my mind. And all of this being done is something that I say when it comes to the military. This is the Marines. This is why I incorporated that in there. you have something that a lot of people deal with. You have PTSD. You have different things of pain that's internalized. And to me, this short film, Joyce, was one of those things that I could be able to express a certain portion where it's almost like you've been to war, you've been to whatever situation, and that stuff internally can mess with you. And sometimes you just need that beacon to kind of grab onto. And that beacon that I was looking at in this was Joyce, which when it comes down to it, those are some of the tools of telling stories. And this right here is like, hey, I had the character come down the stairs. You know what I mean? When you get those behind the scenes of how it's done. And the great thing when it comes to the Xsens is the fact that the range, right? So I'm walking downstairs and I have all of these things in my office. You know what I mean? I'm running it and it picked up all the tracking, everything went through. And I was like, awesome. You know what I mean? And these are just some of the things that when it comes to how I'm doing, this is the studio I'm in right now of me creating some of the scenes. You know what I mean? My wife is on camera. She's pushing it in.
The military can handle that.
Brown.
Smart ass.
That's partially correct. I am smart, being an AI system created through billions of photons and technological advancements and algorithms, but only partially, because I don't have an ass, or you're just using sarcasm.
You know what I mean? And it's things like that. So being able to go in and create still, you know what I mean? And direct and have fun, enjoy things, be able to tell those stories. This is me and my wife. When we're creating Joyce, we're just in there having fun. And that right there, that tool of being able to tell stories and having an outlet and being able to have the things basically in your surroundings. It's not like where you need the craziest amount of big budget where you can still be able to produce and get things out to the world. You know what I mean? Another great thing is, like I said, the only people that worked on this was myself and my wife. My wife is being talented. She plays the character, the voice of Joyce. And in here, you have multiple characters. The great thing when it comes to it is, hey, I got the mocap suit. I can play multiple characters. And being able to play multiple characters, hey, that's already saving you a little bit in your pocket. You get to tell your stories the way you want to. And it being on my YouTube channel, it was definitely, I look at it as a success. It got over 115,000 views, and it's been in it won a couple of film festival awards. And, you know, it's doing better than what I expected. And this is me, everything that I've done just outside basically in the house. I'm doing this stuff and just having fun and being able to tell stories, which the great thing with that is it made me push into some more stories where I wanted to push to talk about Joyce missions, some of the missions that he's been on now. And then I can just continue that and drive it forward to really just implement some of those ideas into story. And this is how you can be able to blend that live action with animation, being able to do all of these things where I'm just creating. And like I said, this is all done in my office with a walking treadmill and making things happen. So those are some of the tools that when it comes to it, that we really look into. And another great thing is when it comes to being creative and being able to utilize the tools, you start to get people reaching out to you. You start to ask questions when it comes to some of the, when it comes to the creators, I'll say the creators of the tools that we use, like the Movella. You know what I mean? When it comes to making Joyce, I used my Vive Mars. So those things is a cam track where you can have a virtual camera, which me keep and continuing to be able to tell stories out as an independent, it opens up other doors. one of those doors is something that I'm going to be doing. I'm helping and basically teaming up with Movella and Vive is at the GDC in San Francisco. Basically on the 20th and 21st, basically we got a Wednesday and Thursday where I'm going to be talking about and demoing basically they got a recent integration where it's going to be the Vive and Movella, and some of the things what you can do with that is I have a little bit here. This is little snippets. All right, y'all. So you're getting some of the information right now. Basically, if you see here, this is, you have we're all familiar with when it comes to the MVN, the record, and basically when you go in there, if you see what they're showing here, well, at least what I'm showing you is this is the Vive and Movella integration. Now, what that is they're being able to, one of the things that I noticed when it comes to Movella and you're making your characters, you might get a little bit of drifting on the feet. You might see the characters kind of drift over a little bit. They kind of move and you'll have a little drifting. With this integration, you're going to be able to solve that problem, because it's going to be taking the Vive trackers and everything that you know from the Vive that we already love when it comes to making sure that you have that world position. And then we're going to be implementing the Movella, and you have that in there. And as you see, I have it connected to me in there in the trackers, which you're going to have but more stable. It's going to really be one of those things that's going to help out with creators, and that integration is going to be I'll say something to really look forward to. So that's the one thing I say. I'm not giving you too much of it, but being able to have that opportunity to be able to team up and work with Movella and work with Vive Mars as far as being able to make this integration and be able to practice it and see how it works. And it's basically just going to create basically a full pipeline when it comes to being able to integrate those two and make sure that it really takes care of drifting and kind of really look into that. And then what I am going to finish y'all with is when it comes to these Joyce missions, you get to go and create. And this is one of the things that I get to look into doing, which I love. And
the process, the work,
The journey.
I was waiting to get my hands on one of you fucks.
got him in my sights.
No, I got this.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up when it comes to this presentation. I'm hoping that it was somewhat insightful, that you learned a little bit. It's so much more that you can definitely talk about, but I really wanted to just let you understand of the process of how as an independent you can be able to come in and make these things happen. You can be able to do these things outside in your home and not necessarily have to move to Hollywood to really be able to do it, but you can find the tools, you can research the information, you can practice. You can get out there and you can make it happen. You can keep and continue creating.
Edward, that's fantastic. I mean, and again, the thing I want to stress too is, I mean, you basically have created this work, with minimal assistance, which I think is amazing. Unreal Engine is one of those platforms it's very user friendly, but it is definitely a lot to learn. So again, kudos to that.
Thank you.
We have a couple questions, so we're gonna kind of jump into that. First question that we have is they asked, what is the name of the tool / blueprint that you're using in Unreal? And I think maybe they're asking what type of integration you're using.
Okay, when it comes to the blueprint, I basically have a lot of that. It's so many different ones that you can utilize. So it's on my GT Short Stories page. I don't want to think, because it's like we can talk basically as far as breakdown of what I'm utilizing, but I'm using Live Link. I'm basically going in as far as my workflow or my pipeline is I'm, like I said, it's too many different ones because so many different videos, I'm using different ones as far as different blueprints, but it is pretty it's basically just a basic workflow. I'm not even saying like it's any creative blueprints and breakdowns. It's more along the lines of I'm taking animations that I'm creating from the Movella, and I'm basically just importing those characters. I'm doing some retargeting to those, and I'm kind of using that pipeline. When it comes to the Vive Mars, I'm using I'm using the Vive live link, and I'm sending that information in there. So that's kind of a little bit more workflow. When it comes to the granular and really breaking things down, I have a lot of my entire workflow on my GT Short Stories page where I break down all of those things. So you can definitely check that out if you really wanted to get some extra information in detail.
Excellent. We got another one here. They are asking, did you model your characters and environments? And if you didn't, what resources did you use, or would you recommend?
I'll say right now, I'm definitely not somebody. I've been using Unreal for about 2 to 3 years now. So I'm not somebody that's probably out there really modeling. Some of the modeling that I did do is for some shorts, I use iClone, and you have Character Creator, and that's a Revolution thing. So I go there and you can buy different packs of characters and you can start morphing and shaping characters. When it comes to some of like the Joyce characters, those are bought off of the Unreal Engine, like the Unreal Marketplace. So they have those when you have the Unreal Marketplace. I'm definitely not someone that understands really how to go through and do all the modeling and those kind of tools, but I'm definitely learning. So, you know what I mean? The next thing is I'm trying to figure out Maya and go through ZBrush and try to create and build those characters.
Absolutely. Let's see. We do have a few more. Let's kind of run through these here. Let's see. So, okay, will the Vive base stations be needed for the Movella integration, and what version tracker / base stations are required? That definitely is a question I guess you could answer, but yeah, I think I can answer that one too. But if you'd like to go ahead.
You know what, Justin, you can go on and take care of that one.
So yes, so to answer the question, yes, the base stations are required. You do need them to create the environment. And as far as the trackers, I believe you can use 2.0, and you can also use the latest. So yes. So yes to all of those.
Yeah. As far as the base stations, I'm running 4 of them in here. I'm just letting you know I do have 4, and I just have them posted up in the back corners of each thing. So I'm basically have it. They just stay there. They are on the wall. They're mounted, and I kind of just go in.
Yes, yeah, and to add to that, the maximum size that you can use is a 10 by 10. So you can create a 10 by 10 environment for yourself. And again, the trackers can be used for. You can put it on your body. You can put it on the floor. You can actually attach it to objects. So if you want object tracking, everything. Let's see, what else do we have? So they're also asking, are the Vive trackers needed additional in order to fix the drifting?
You kind of cut out a little bit, Justin. You said, are the Vive trackers needed to fix the drifting?
Yeah. I'll put it in a little bit more of an easier question for you to answer. So did the Vive trackers, adding the Vive trackers, did that help fix the drifting for you?
Yes, it definitely did. I pretty much have a tracker on me. So I have that, and it's basically when you go through the integration, you can have that on your pelvis, and that right there is when you calibrate everything, it calibrates the Vive, which is going to get the world when it comes to world positioning. So then when it comes to your character, you pretty much it's almost like y'all all sync together. So it's going to recognize where you are. So it's giving you a lot more information, a lot more data that's driven, that's going to help out when it comes to the drifting. So it's solving that issue.
Excellent. We've got it. I think we got one more here. They're asking, okay, so basically said, awesome work, Edward. Big inspiration. Is everything what you showcased right now all produced with the use of MVN, Unreal, and After Effects only?
Yes. There is, other than like some of the things I've done, I've have After Effects as far as using iClone. So I'll go in there and create some of my stories are created using iClone and Character Creator. But everything else, that's it. I'm not jumping into Blender. I'm not in Maya. I'm trying to learn how to use Maya, right? So I'm basically a creative, and I'm the one that just hard charging, trying to get out there and learn. So ultimately, everything that you've seen is going to be through Unreal and After Effects and editing in Premiere. You can put it that way.
Excellent. Actually, we do have one more.
Okay. It's all right. I'm here.
So they said, great work. This is a fellow veteran and in the Bay Area. Said, I'm thinking about attending Academy of Arts. They ask, were you happy with your experience there?
Yeah, I was definitely happy with it. I learned a lot. I think when it comes to college, it's more along the tools of networking. I had to, use when it comes to the GI Bill, that covered it. So I think that as far as, do you need college to get out and make these things happen? I want to say no. But because there's too many tools and things on YouTube. YouTube University is going to give you everything you need to get out and create. I think if you're trying to network and grow, as far as, hey, I need to find out a DP, I want to find someone that's a gaffer, you're going to get a lot of connections at any college you go to. So I think if you're trying to grow because you don't know outlets or where to go, you can definitely get that there. And if you're a fellow veteran, hey, the GI Bill is going to cover it. You can get some base housing allowance. You can get an extra little bit of money. It's going to be beneficial. If you are someone that's thinking like, hey, I want to create and I want to get out there and make it happen, do you need college? Today's day and age, no. You don't even need a damn camera. You can use your phone. You can get out there and create. It's just get out there, get the information, and actually put in the work, go grind and go get it.
Awesome. Edward, again, thank you so much, man. It's much appreciated. I know you mentioned the GDC. So again, I'm looking forward to getting the chance to work with you next week. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And again, man, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's see here. Next up, we've got Debbie Wong. So Debbie is the founding artistic director of Renaissance Opera. Debbie is an interdisciplinary performance artist that loves to weave together sound, text, movement, and technology to create contemporary stories. In 2019, Debbie spearheaded Orpheus VR, an interactive virtual reality opera that was featured in the immersed exhibit at the 2020 Vancouver International Film Festival. Everybody, please welcome Debbie.
Hello, everyone. Just quickly, a big shout out to Edward. That was such a great presentation, and I feel so inspired. And I especially want to go buy in a window now so that I can get my kid into motion capture. But thank you so much, Edward. I'm really inspired to be following your presentation. My name is Debi Wong, she, her pronouns, and I'm the founding artistic director of Renaissance Opera, which operates on the ancestral traditional lands of the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Wetaskiwin peoples, colonially known as Vancouver, British Columbia. At Renaissance, we believe that art reimagines possibilities, and so we create immersive story worlds that inspire awe and orient audiences towards new and hopeful futures. Today, I'm talking about animating myths and revolutionizing live performance with real-time motion capture. And especially with some of the questions that came up during Edward's talk, I think I'll be touching on some of the same subjects that everyone seems to be interested in. So I hope that I will provide some new insights for you all. So today I'm specifically talking about our recent hybrid performance series called Eurydice Live from the Underworld, where we set out to reimagine what live performance could be by bridging the gap between performing arts practices that have really long-standing traditions and techniques, and the emerging and creative technologies that are revolutionizing all of our creative industries. Obviously, this is a huge topic. There's a whole conference today on this. So I'll specifically be speaking about integrating live motion capture into our performances. And I'll be sharing some of the ideas and concepts behind our work, as well as our technical and theatrical pipelines, and also how we leverage the best of creative technology and live performing practices so that we can navigate tech challenges and elevate our experiences that we produce for our audiences. So first, a little context. Opera, weird. Why are we referencing opera? Why do we make opera? Whenever I bring up the word opera, people immediately have an idea of what it looks and sounds and feels like. Often there's an image of a very big, grand proscenium stage, the opera singer with the horned helmet, shattering glass, maybe stuffy audience, gowns, tuxedos, people sleeping through very long performances. We get it. Opera has a reputation of being a kind of legacy art form, something that's very elitist, out of touch. But for the past 4 years, our team has been looking at opera through its history of collaboration and innovation. And something that I like to bring into my talks is that opera, Western European opera, essentially exists because in the 16th and 17th centuries, a multidisciplinary group of philosophers, scientists, artists, changemakers, poets, writers, singers, dancers were regularly gathering to leverage their collective creativity and prototype more impactful, more relevant, more epic, more immersive ways to tell stories. So at the same time that this is happening, theatrical design is also going through its own creative explosion, especially with advances in fields like randomly naval engineering being applied to set design and stage effects to really transport audiences to new worlds. And these new worlds, combined with the immersive and emotionalness of music, created a huge sensation and unlocked truly new ways of telling stories in the 17th century. I like to tell this little anecdote because immersive is such a huge industry today and it feels very fresh and new and emergent. But whenever I think about it, I like to look back on images like the one that you see up here of 17th century set design and think back on these collaborations that fostered that kind of creativity. I like to think back on those rooms where those artists and thinkers would challenge one another to push boundaries of what was possible. And I do this because I think I like thinking about my work as part of a history and a lineage, but also because it is a blueprint for innovation that produces epic, immersive storytelling that is truly born from interdisciplinary collaboration. So our production of Eurydice Live from the Underworld is a nod to Western European opera's origins, because the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice was one of the very first operas to be created and performed in a set kind of like this in the 17th century. And so we have very much taken these blueprints, the mythology, the history, the collaboration, these concepts, and applied them to our own questions today. So what would opera look like if it were invented today? And what are those 21st century epic storytelling forms that we love? What are the kinds of tools and technologies that we have access to reimagine live performance? Who are those artists, engineers, thinkers that we want to challenge to push the boundaries of what we think is possible?
I love video games. I'm a big video game dork. Why can't opera be like video games? Live from the Underworld is taking CGI avatars and sets and using video game engines and motion capture to create a very mythological, fantastical live stream performance series.
I think this is where the world of performance is going. I sit there in the room, just being relatively new to both VR and opera, constantly being blown away by the innovation.
Primarily, the body motion capture is being done with an Xsens suit. Getting the facial captures, we're using the iPhone's depth capture camera. We're able to merge them together with Revolution, which is a software that allows you to combine motion capture from different places and put it all onto one character performance.
This combination of these two coming together has been really interesting. It's sort of like a form of puppetry where there's two people who have to puppet the avatar. The nice thing about working in this format is that we can let our imaginations run wild.
I think we're only in the beginning of what this experience can be.
So our team today is made up of our modern day 17th century cohort of thinkers and creators and artists. It's software engineers, motion capture and virtual production directors, as well as stage directors, contemporary ballet dancers, voice actors, set designers, lighting designers, all kinds of creative thinkers and builders. And together, we've been very interested in how we can empower storytelling for the stage with video game tools. I'm going to walk you through some of those tools and pipelines now, and then give you a little context of why we chose to work with the things that we're working with. In retrospect, there were kind of two things that were really governing our decision making as we tested many, many different products and many, many different softwares. The first one was accessibility and ease of use, and I really appreciate that Edward spoke to this as well. We're not a AAA game studio, we're a nonprofit indie arts organization, but we still wanted to be able to produce on a higher level and use tools and processes that were financially feasible for us, but that could also be passed on to other indie artists and artists who are interested in experimenting in this space. And the other thing that really helped us decide on our pipelines and our tools and methods were our performers. The performers work with us from day one. They're always in the creation spaces, testing spaces with us. And we were really adamant that our performers felt empowered versus encumbered with the technology. And this was one of our biggest decisions here was to especially work with the Xsens suit. The difference between working with a marker and an optic system versus the markerless active system meant that our dancers could suddenly roll around on the floor, do anything that they need to, jump, twirl, and it really unlocked their choreography and performing. And it also meant, in terms of creating a live performance with a live audience, that we had the option to scale up or tour our productions in a much easier way. So we started working with the Xsens suits. Our technical pipeline is a whole mishmash of tools. It kind of starts with our 3D artist, Conrad Sly, who used a combination of Character Creator and ZBrush to sculpt our characters, which were then imported into Revolution's iClone 7. We use the MVN Link suits paired with the Manus Meta gloves for body and hand data. And this was also streamed from the MVN Animate into iClone 7. We add facial data from the Live Face iPhone application and assign all the different mocap sources to their respective characters inside of iClone. And the character and motion data was streamed out of iClone into Unreal 5, where we have created our environments and we're able to program some real-time visual effects, cloth simulation, and some interactive sound elements. For our most recent live stream performance, we did use actually the HTC Vive positioning aiding integration for the MVN suits. And our setup for that was we used 4 of the Vive light boxes on tripods, creating that 10-meter tracking area. And then we attached Vive trackers to the waists of our dancers so that we could improve the amount of drift during our performances. The other really important pipeline, which is half of our work, is also our theatrical pipeline. So our series started as an online experience only, where viewers would watch our episodes via YouTube Live, and they had the option to vote on branching narratives and even decide on different kinds of orchestration throughout the story. And at the end of our episodes, the audience would vote on what would happen next, and then we would go build that next episode. So it was a very interactive experience. It was really fun. We loved doing it, but there was also something missing coming from the background in live performance. There really is something that changes when an audience is in the same space with a performer. And so we wanted to open that up and create something more hybrid. So we brought in more theatrical staging, lighting design, and created a unique in-person experience to complement the online experience, where audiences who were attending in person could watch everything that happens behind the scenes as well as in the virtual world and experience a different kind of staging. As you saw in the little video clip that I showed, we also started working with our avatars kind of like in an old school puppets way, where different parts of the puppet or the avatar would be controlled by different performers. So after some kind of embarrassing experiments that included bike helmets, duct tape, and selfie sticks to very expensive head mounts to get the facial data, we decided to split the avatar into two performers and have the body performed by a dancer and the face performed by a singing actor. Edward brought up practice, practice, practice. And so deciding to have one avatar performed by two performers also solved a lot of our performance issues and that encumbering feeling that our performers were having. But it also allowed us to combine that virtuosity and that like thousands of hours of practice of two performers into one avatar, which was a really exciting discovery for us. Finally, another kind of theatrical pipeline discovery that we made is something we call the mocap conductor. We've sort of learned that not everything has or needs a tech solve. And so we also know that the tech that we're using is not necessarily initially designed to be used in the way that we're using it. So we're always navigating challenges like drift, like clipping. Sometimes things just, who knows what's gone wrong. But of course, as we all know, everything goes wrong all the time with tech. So by combining a theatrical pipeline with a technical pipeline, we've been able to deliver consistent performances, even though we are using everything in real time and live. And the mocap conductor is an important part of that. Instead of the orchestral conductor that leads instruments in the right timing and places in a musical experience, our mocap conductor is keeping their eye on the camera angles and the virtual production aspect of things, and giving signals to the performers on how to adjust their positioning and how to adjust their avatars if something goes wrong. And also if something even greater goes wrong, then they're there to call different camera angles or use some of our other tricks to divert audience attention while we're in the theater. So these are some of the main tools we've been using. I'll show you what that kind of looks like in reality. Oops, my audio's. There we go. So it looks like a million game computers, virtual reality headsets, energy drinks, violins, and keyboards on a very messy table. It means our dancers are working intimately with their avatars and also each other, and our stage managers to really establish the right spacing, and they're really tweaking every single part of movement with the avatar so that they can find the same expression out of their avatar that they do when they're dancing. It means that our lighting designers are working with our environment designers and creators to blend colors and color match, but also to bring textures out of the virtual world into the physical world so that we can blend that virtual and physical a little more seamlessly. It means that our singers and our voice actors are really taking the time to dig into the text and the way that they are singing, so that they can capture singing. It requires all kinds of weird voice shapes, so it really requires detailed work with the text. But it's a different rehearsal process as well, as you see here. We have the singer up front and the dancer beside them, and they have to coordinate their expressions and their emotions and their physicalities so that the avatar facially and physically seems like it's telling the same story. And then finally, this is a look at the tech table. I'm playing the role of mocap director right now, or mocap conductor. So it's a lot of hand signals, pointing things out, and making sure it's running seamlessly. That's the little behind the scenes aspect of it. So I'll show you a clip now of what it looks like in performance. And this, you've seen clips from different performances over the past few years. So this one I'll show you now, I think is from 2022. So what our team is up to now, we've been very inspired by all of these sort of small episodes we've been doing. Each one has been running about 15 to 20 minutes. We've paired it with other kinds of performances or experiences to build it out. But what we're really excited right now is that we are finally building a full-length immersive production that will premiere in Vancouver in November 2024 this year, and then we'll tour to Toronto and Brooklyn in the 25-26 season. And as we're building out that performance, we are it's very much the culmination of everything that I've kind of touched on today. But right now we're very inspired by motion capture and interactive audio. We're building sound sculptures using meta sounds inside of Unreal Engine that can be played by our dancers, allowing them to be in a musical duet, or in the case of the video I'll show you in a second, a musical quartet with the singers who perform the faces and voices of avatars. And oh, my video just made a thumbs up, sorry. So we're very interested in how we can continue deepening and digging into this combination of live motion capture and interactive capabilities and the visual effects abilities that are available to us in Unreal 5. So I'm going to show you a little clip of what that interactive sound looks like now and what we're working on. So you can't see the game engine, of course, but the dancers are triggering meta sounds with their gloves, and you can see when they trigger it from the VFX in the video. So in spite of all of the new technologies rising up around us, our greatest strength remains that bridge that we are creating between the past and the present, using these very tried and true performing arts techniques and practices to shape our emerging technologies into tools that really inspire our artists and our audiences for this upcoming production that we will be building out, or that we are building out. We remain inside the Orpheus and Eurydice myth because it is part of that original blueprint that really inspired us. And it's that myth that inspired the first opera to be born, but more it's this story about the artist who changed destiny with the power of their voice. And so we feel like that is still very much relevant story today, and we have so many tools and exciting ideas to be able to express it. That is my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Awesome, Debbie. That's amazing. Like I said, I just think what you do is very, very unique. So question is, would you say motion capture and retargeted characters help visualize another level of emotion behind the artistic performance?
Oh, I love that question. I think I don't know that it necessarily replaces anything, but what it does do for our artists is it allows them to imagine new kinds of characters because they are not bound by physical limitations. So our Eurydice avatar, which you saw many times, her whole hair is made out of roots and willow leaves, and her armor's made out of bark, and and the physics of her hair, I'm not sure if it was going in the video clips, but she's got this really wild hair, and she can control the environment around her. That's her superpower. So, those aren't easily executable when you're doing a stage performance. Also, it'd be very expensive. So it does allow us to stretch our imagination a little bit further. So we do enjoy that aspect of it.
Excellent. Okay. We have another one here. How do you overcome the specific challenges of sound engineering for opera, specifically acoustics, sound feedback, voice and instruments? Part of the allure of opera is how the sound is propagated in the space. And have you reached this quality in virtual production?
Yeah, so there's a lot of debate over opera, whether it should use microphones or not. And we definitely use microphones in this case, especially when we're going out online, when we have a hybrid experience, because it allows us greater control over the balance of sound. And because we are dealing with many different kinds of sound input. So we've got meta sounds inside of Unreal Engine. We've got just our track, which is being triggered in different ways. We have, in between our live action scenes, we will often have a short animated scene so that we can reset our mocap. So there's that audio that's coming out of OBS for running things. So there's many different audio sources. What I think I just have to credit is Brian Topp, our sound engineer and our interactive audio developer. He just is really fantastic at live mixing and finding that balance so that the voice really still carries the performance. When we do it in theaters, it's of course just a lot of time tweaking the balance between the microphones and the live acoustics. And we often work in black box theaters so that we have a damper sound acoustic so that we can better control that sound inside the real space and the virtual space.
Awesome. Let's see. What are the considerations to avoid the technology hindering or getting in the way of the artistic performance?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I think that's a hard one to answer because I think in the end, when we get really frustrated with something that doesn't work, it's because we aren't balancing technical and theatrical. So I think I said it, that we've learned the hard way that there's never a tech solve. It's never just a tech solve. I mean, there probably is, but when we get really frustrated or we're really hitting our heads up against the wall, or something's really not working, It's funny how like a dancer will just come in like, oh, I can fix that. It takes about 2 seconds, whereas if it's just the technical team arguing about something, it could take hours and days. So I think my answer to that is really the balance of, and again, we work with our performers as co-creators. So everyone that you saw in those 2 slides, they are all equal contributors to what we're producing. And that has been a huge shift in creativity and in mindset, including problem solving for everyone on the team. So finding that way to really empower people to dig in and lean in with their specific bodies of knowledge helps us find those new pathways forward. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see. What is the most unstable part of the performance pipeline in terms of software once the main show is being delivered?
It is the motion capture, I will say. There's kind of a few different parts to this. First of all, Xsens is by far the most stable system that we've worked with that allows our performers to perform the way that they want to. Our biggest challenge is, of course, drift. And it's funny, we sometimes it just works so perfectly. And we don't have any issues. And then sometimes we will go to recreate exactly, we'll document it, we'll recreate exactly what we did, and it just doesn't work. And we're not entirely sure why. But of course, we, again, like everything you saw there, this is not edited in any way. There is no animation finessing this is just raw data coming straight out of Xsens, and I cloned. So that is why when we're working with our performers, it's really important for our dancers, for example, to have that extended time with their avatars, because it can be something as very simple as like how the wrist is moving, it looks like such a small movement that the dancer will do, and it changes the way that the avatar moves. So we navigate those issues with that. I brought up our new tool, which is the Mocap conductor. So we work our staging in a way that for the past 2 iterations, I've been playing Mocap conductor. So we work our staging so that the dancers can always see me at some point, and often I'll be like, move back, move forward, you stop, spread out. So we're kind of developing whatever that physical language is to be able to communicate with the dancers when we're seeing the drift. And virtual production plays into this as well, in that when we're setting our camera angles and camera movements, we're making sure we always have that camera angle that's going to catch anything, no matter how far things have drifted. So again, it's even though that is a challenge, it's also an opportunity to be really creative and to lean in harder on the theatrical aspects and the theatrical know-how of the performers on stage. And that combination has allowed for a very elegant solution, and again, for us to consistently deliver live performances with live motion capture, even if that sounds terrifying.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Would you say that the dancers and the singers having body and face being captured respectively with different persons is better than a dancer doing both facial and body capture?
Yeah, I love that question. It's kind of a pros and cons thing. The reason we separated them out is because there was no way to get facial capture that would allow the dancer the full range of movement, especially in the neck and the head. There was something weird about trying to lip sync to a singer, of course, too. And then the opposite version of that is if the singer is in the mocap suit, they don't have the same range of motion as a professional contemporary ballet dancer does. So it was really interesting to make that discovery, to separate it out. The challenges of that is that sometimes, when you're not physically acting and you're just playing the face, you can end up with dead face where you're just kind of waiting for your turn to sing. And then of course the avatar looks grumpy. So there's always that, even though the body's not moving or being physical in a scene, there's still facial acting that needs to happen. And it's been an interesting process to get the dancer and the singer to rehearse together. Sometimes they will face each other so that they can mimic each other with the physical gestures so that the vocal performance feels integrated with the physical. Sometimes the dancer will be in front and the singer will be behind, and they'll follow each other around the spaces they're rehearsing so that the actor can have the physicality and feel what it's like to be in motion in different parts of the script. So we're still discovering what those techniques are to be able to navigate that. But for us, it's been a really great solution to not limiting any kind of performance.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. We got a few more. What are your next steps / plans to further engage your audience during performances?
Yeah, so the new performance, or the performance that we're building out for November, it's very much meant to, you saw our videos where it's still that kind of proscenium style. The audience is over here, the performance is happening up there. The performance is going to be set in the Sticks, which is imagined to be this cyberpunk queer bar in the underworld. So our audiences will very much be sat inside of the set. They will be immersed in the story and the action. Actors, dancers will be all around them, and we're creating a set design that integrates screens and physical set objects in a more seamless way, so that we can project on different surfaces and have our avatars kind of like grow out of different parts of the set. So we're hoping that we can really make it feel immersive for people who are there physically. And we are also working out the interactive audio aspect. Our dream is to be able to create a way that the audience, much like they did in our online performances, can interact with the orchestration as well. Our work actually started in virtual reality, where we created a 10-minute interactive opera prototype. And inside that prototype, the audience member plays the role of fate, where they can breathe life into something or take life away. And what this does is change the orchestration depending on what you interact with in the environment. So we want to take that immersive world building that we had from the virtual reality experience and the interactive orchestration and audio, and bring that into live performance as well. So that's where those are the two main things we're hoping to kind of tease out.
Alrighty. Let's see. I believe you did mention this in your presentation, but we have somebody asking, let's see, what are you using for the facial capture?
Yeah, we're just using the iPhone. Again, like we tested a bunch of different options. We're just using the iPhone depth camera and live face. You know, again, we're cheating it a little bit in that, like, we made the choice to use very stylized avatars, so that there's certain facial things that, you know, you wouldn't ever pick up because the avatar is quite stylized. But we just couldn't get a really big difference in range from the iPhone to the other systems that we tested. So we stuck with iPhone because, again, it's accessible to more indie creators. So.
Now, is that the one that integrates with iClone, or is that the one that integrates directly into Unreal?
No, so for the performance that's coming up, we are going to switch to the Unreal pipeline. We'll be using MetaHuman and what is theirs called? Facelink? No, I always mix up the names of everything. But yes, we will be using the Unreal one. The one you saw with the content we've done has been the iClone, Live Face 2 iClone.
Okay, looks like I think we got one more here. Since the facial expressions are way more in opera than like other movement / actions, how is mocap used and how effective is it? Is that says WRT syncing?
Okay, with real-time syncing. Yeah. Okay, so it's been tricky. Like, I will say but so this sounds so silly, but we just try to use really good chords for everything. So all of our latency issues, we started in one place where there was like, when we first streamed out, there was at least 7 seconds of delay, and we were like, what is going on here? So, from that very early starting point to slowly getting it down to a barely noticeable amount of lag for anything that we're doing. But the face is always the most difficult for us. So using that stylized avatar. But the other thing we noticed is that when you're speaking, we tend to use like as I can see from my face right now, we're using really fast motions with our lips and our face, and our eyes are doing many things. Singing is actually a little bit slowed down. So you're actually using slightly more exaggerated facial expressions. You might hold the facial expression for a bit longer. So even though it's a more exaggerated use of the face, that actually does translate a lot better to facial capture, because it always picks up those big range of motions. It's the very small detailed things that we often have issues with. So we try to find that balance between speaking and singing. One of our experiences has a rap number in it. So the choreography is very elaborate there, so that people aren't like staring at the faces trying to see if every single word lines up or not.
Excellent, Debbie. So that looks like all the questions. Thank you so much. Again, I think what you do is it's amazing, and it's very unique. I think I told you a little while ago, I'm just so impressed with the fidelity, how again, you everything's so clear, and it really, again, there's very minimal movement or drift. Everything seems to be just very clear. So whatever pipeline that you've kind of figured out, it's incredible. It really is.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and we're excited to keep working with Xsens and showing you what comes next.
Excellent. Thank you, Debbie. Again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. So next up, we have Bibhash and Briana from Mindshow to talk about their amazing integration tool. From script to final render, Mindshow is one of the best tools for creatives to bring CG animation to life. Leveraging the power of their proprietary tech stack, Mindshow creates a virtual environment where creators, producers, and executives collaborate all in real time. Mindshow makes it easy to import existing art, assets, and workflow, enabling creators and brands to bring new life and storytelling possibilities to their production and their campaigns. Please help me welcome Bibhash and Briana.
Thanks, Justin. I'm Bibhash, CTO is Briana, our lead mocap. Just wanted to quickly introduce Mindshow, what we do. As Justin mentioned, that we are an end-to-end 3D pipeline content creation platform, powered by technology, and we have AI in the middle of that. We use Mindshow and Xsens in our real-time mocap. So we do, when a script comes in from the client, we would go through the entire creative process. We'd go through modeling, and then we'd go through rigging, and after that, we'd drop it on the floor. That's when we're doing all the motion cap real time. There are directors involved and live action actors. They're getting real time feedback, and that's really an amazing advantage of using real time mocap as opposed to an animator doing this at their desk for days and weeks. Here you literally get to shape and mold the performance that you want if you're a director, and also for the actors, they can see how they're doing in real time. So after we do that, then it goes out downstream to edit, post-production, and we do a round trip with Maya, and we bring it back into Engine. Our engine is in Unity, and then we do depending on the show, it could be the final comp, final pixel, lighting, and all of that stuff. If you have any, there's a lot in this process. There's a lot going on, and I'd love to answer questions. I just wanted to quickly introduce Briana, and she'll take you through some of our demos.
Yeah, thanks, Bibhash. So I am Briana Marin Lopez. I am a director and lead motion capture performer here at Mindshow. I have a long performance history in both dance and acting in New York and LA. I was a professional ballerina with the Dance Theater of Harlem in New York before I studied acting, which eventually got me out to Los Angeles. And really by the time Mindshow came into my life, we were all in the throngs of the pandemic. In 2021, there were about 10 of us in office, and we all came from really diverse walks of the creative field. We have directors, engineers, various performers, dancers, actors like myself, which keeps it really fun and tech forward, where we have all these diverse perspectives to bring to storytelling, but the tech has always been the momentum to push that storytelling in a diverse and really fast-paced, quick way without losing the quality of the final show. So what we're going to look at now is a little clip from Monster High Season 3, produced on the floor here in the production pod at Mindshow. So let's roll the tape.
Okay, so once our asset team and layout team and rigging artists do all of the incredible work that they do and we funnel it into Mindshow, everything lives and breathes here in our hand menu. We have 2 controllers to operate everything, and as you can see, it's extremely user-friendly. We have got all these incredible technological feats sitting right at our fingertips. We've got environments, we've got characters, all of our props that directors will animate themselves with a bunch of tools that we have all on these controllers. We have an edit tab where we can use cameras and make a little mind edit, as we call it, right in front of us in lifetime. We have our audio files, so we will pre-record all of our dialogue or any music video, music timings that need to happen for a music video, and they will be here right at our fingertips, ready to go in the edit tab. And everything to kind of hold it all together here in the layout tab. Another exciting thing about Xsens specifically, when the performer is ready to go with the director, we simply hit using Xsens and can manipulate a lot of these settings here, depending on if there is a lot of geography to travel, or if it's a quick dance sequence, or perhaps a character is sitting down or lying down. We've had a lot of fun over the years manipulating our software with Xsens to get a lot of very cool and unique different types of movement depending on what a scene or the client is requiring. So I am going to open up something from Season 3 Monster High right now.
All right, I've hopped into Frankie and I'm ready to give the choreography a performance pass. I am going to take off the headset and put the controllers down. If I am the director as well as the performer for an episode or a music video, it does look a lot like this. I'm just taking the hardware on and off. If I were just the performer, I would hand off the controllers and headset to a director. But many days it looks just like this, a one-woman show. So I have got my marks in the VR space and headset. I've got my marks in real space as a performer, and we're going to give this choreography a pass. Let's check that out. I did perform that at 85% speed, so to save some time, I am going to put our speed back up to the tempo of the track, which is 100% on our hand menu in Mindshow. Let's play that back. Cool, that's a pretty good pass. If we see some of the elbows penetrating the chest cavity or fingers going through the head, each character does have its own rig, so the performer might want to make an adjustment for each character. This is pretty close, and again, this is a big ensemble piece for the chorus. So I'm going to go back into my hand menu and use that tool we were talking about before called the Slurp toy. You're going to see me highlight Frankie and capture her performance like so. I go to my Perform tab, grab it on the other end of the Slurp menu, apply it to Claudine, Draculara, and Cleo. How dare I confuse them. So you might have noticed they've now all moved a little bit in space. They've moved upstage, they've moved stage right or left, as well as are they floating a bit. So I have other tools that we talked about to take care of that. I'm going to move everybody just a little closer to their marks on stage. First moving them here with the place toy. They're still rather up high, but now if we're looking at, this all depends on the comp of the frame, of course, as well, right? Which camera we want. Let's actually, I'm just going back and forth to my existing cameras and just sort of checking out the frames and where I might want their feet to hit, so on and so forth. So, okay, this is okay spacing for the next pass. Let's take that move toy again and move them down to the stage. This application comes in handy quite often. You can manipulate the characters in X, Y, or Z plane. If you want them to be standing up on a podium or underground, lying on a sofa. There's a lot of manipulations we can do with this. All right, it looks like everybody's in an okay place for this formation. Let's try this out. All right, that's a pretty close pass. I'm going to flip it back to the headset view and let's look at some cameras and our edit menu. All right, we're back in headset and have scaled up quite high to see the full scope of this set and the stage available to it. Our performance is fully intact on stage where we left it, and you might notice that a few cameras have been added and operated as well. Way over there, we've got a cool drone situation, we've got a two-shot, and some close-ups over here that are all present in a now more fleshed out Mind Edit tab. Each one of these rectangles is an operating camera here. We last left off on this camera where we captured the performer for the performance in studio, but now, depending on our shot list and what we've actually captured, this again is the beauty of Mindshow, where even though you've got your shot list done and you've completed all your cameras to go through that, happy accidents happen all the time where once you can move around the space and, kind of get in between all of it and see it so clearly in the Mind Edit tab, you might have some really fun last minute ideas that allows for an incredible amount of flexibility and fun with what you thought your original vision might want to be. So let's go ahead and play back from this POV here. And we can see the camera's moving just like the character performances. You layer one after the next after the next. It's the same with the cameras, and they all just keep stacking up here in that Mind Edit tab. So great. Let's go ahead and make a quick Mind Edit here with our cameras. This purple line indicates that only one camera has been chosen out of all these that we can use. So for this pass, let's maybe go for... Let's starting a little bit closer on the girls, and in live playback, again, with just the click of the trigger, let's make a new cut. And maybe we want to catch that cool drone sweep. End up on a little close-up. Cool. So now the colors have changed. Down there, right above the timeline here, indicating which cameras we've chosen. Should a note come down from client or the director wants something else, you can just highlight one of these and delete a camera, add a new one, depending on, there it is, delete shot, depending on what you might want the new cut to be. So let's take a look at what we just did in from a camera point of view in Mindshow, and then we will watch the final product on YouTube, which will be Season 3, Monster High from Mindshow.
It's our time to shine. Trick or treat, it's the Halloween scream. Be yourself, be unique, sing with me. Trick or treat, it's the Halloween scream. Be yourself, be unique, follow me.
Well, thanks for watching, guys.
Well, I want to give some, are we talking, can we hear?
Yeah, yes.
Cool. I want to give some credits to the choreographer. Her name is Yoey. And in that particular episode, a wonderful contractor we work with named Eileen Harmon was the performer. And that actually was directed by a really talented team member we have named David Vargas. So props to Halloween, Monster High, and all of them. That's a great, great video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is an amazing tool. I mean, it's just, again, the amount of integration and the fact that you can just again edit on the fly is fantastic. It really is. We do have a couple questions. So first one is, what engine are you using for retargeting on your characters?
So we use Unity, and we have developed proprietary retargeting middleware that takes the Xsens data, and then it'll put it onto our characters.
Excellent. Another question, same person. Your final retarget looks great, and the feet are a lot look really tight. What polish steps did you take for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So foot sliding and all of that stuff is a thing.
Hot topic right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So we use we bank on Xsens as well as our own middleware that we have developed to eliminate as much as we can foot sliding and drift. So Xsens does have a mode which is called HD data processing, which is not real time, it's offline, but if you click the button, then the data will be processed offline and it will be available to you after some time. So we're working to enable that part inside our Mindshow UI, where if you're experiencing slides or any kind of jitter or too much noise in a shot, then you do have the option to select the high definition data process, the analyzed data of that shot. You can bring that in and then see if that or present both of those sets to the animators so they have more things to work with during the cleanup phase.
Yeah, there's kind of an endless amount of options to try out, that being what happens down the line in pipeline. What we do have control over in the suit, what I saw with that Move toy and the Slurp toy and all of those applications that we have, we could go much farther down that rabbit hole. You can do multiple tweaks here and there. And again, I just gave a quick pass of the choreography. Usually we do 2 or 3 or more, depending on what it is, to try to just close that middle ground, that gray area of any penetrations that might happen or the sliding or whatnot. So we really, that's what we spend most of the time doing, to be honest, because we get a great calibration. We do use the performer dimensions, even though each of those rigs has a separate dimension themselves. So of course there's going to be something to kind of massage into. So it's a unique collaboration between what we can have control over on the floor and then what we know will get kind of cleaned up later on down pipeline.
Yeah, it's definitely a good marriage of art and technology. And I think Briana and her team has figured out, they have great insights on if the character is a particular dimension and she's a particular dimension, they kind of figured out what adjustments might be needed on floor to make the downstream easier. Like if the characters are supposed to clap and the arm length is shorter for the retarget, then they'll adjust it on the floor. And it's very hard to do, while they're dancing and doing all these moves. So it definitely needs some kind of skill, practice, training, and skill.
Yeah, we have a couple of characters that are little sisters type. So they're, they'd be in real life, they'd be maybe 2 or 3 feet high. So those are always really fun once I was a cow. So you have 4 legs and arms as opposed to, and how the neck would move. So it's really fun. I have to say, it's a really fun challenge with Xsens to figure out how to best achieve the movement behavior to give whatever is required in a script and in a scene, and to make it look natural and true to whatever that character's behavior is. Yeah, we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is just a question from me, actually. Watching the video, I did see you were able to select multiple characters, multiple cameras, and then have them kind of run through their actual motion. Can you add transitions in your software, or is that something that would be done post?
Transitions from camera to camera?
Yes, from camera to camera, yes.
Yeah, so in that Mind Edit, where all those little tabs were, you can create a new cut by just clicking the trigger at whatever moment in time while you're watching playback in real time. So you can honestly, you can play it back. Well, I'd rather have it be on a wider for a little bit longer and then go to the close-up. you can immediately go back to scrub to the top of the timeline, play it again, and make a new cut on the fly and just keep rendering out different options. So when I'm directing, I'll do exactly just that. I'll say, I wonder what it would look like with a different camera here. And then render out 2 or 3 different versions. And then before I actually sit down with the editor and before it's locked and goes down pipeline, I actually have the option to look at that in a matter of minutes to see different versions of what a cut could be, all in headset just by clicking the trigger, which is extremely flexible and allows for really fast production. And this tool, I'm glad you mentioned that. This tool comes in handy so much when we have a lot of quick turnarounds with clients. Well, let's move this whole performance to the front of the town center. And, rather than going, oh, I need to reshoot all these things, sometimes that has to happen if we, actually go to a different environment. But you can make incredibly quick changes without losing any of the performance quality on the fly in a very short amount of time, which is one of the coolest things about what we can do on the floor of the production portion.
Yeah, the real-time nature of things really speeds things up. So, when we are working with, folks like Pepsi or Mattel or, Coke Melon, one of the things that attract them to us is really the efficiency, the speed, and the budget. So, it really helps us to iterate faster, the process that we have.
Yeah, speed is our superpower.
Okay, another question. Would you say you prefer using your system to add cameras / remove cameras is much easier rather than adding the cameras in Unreal directly? And how many cameras would you say is an appropriate amount of cameras you would need for any specific scene?
So I do want to correct there. Our engine is not based on Unreal. It is Unity. Yeah. So sorry if I wasn't clear about that, if that was part of that confusion. So it is totally Unity, and we don't add any cameras inside Unity. Yeah. The cameras are all added on the floor. And do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's such a fun thing to talk about because there is no limit. The answer is there is no limit. You can have an infinite amount of camera. Of course, that kind of causes the system to chug, and it gets heavier if I think I've had maybe 20 cameras in a final dance sequence number, but you really can have as many as you want that are all added in Mindshow, like Bibhash was saying. But that makes for a lot of really fun decision-making moments, and also can be really overwhelming because, you have your shot list and you go, great, I've gotten all the cameras that I need. And now you can just teleport over to a section of the environment that you might have not even thought of before or really seen now that you're also looking at the performance in front of you. And you go, well, this would be a really cool idea if I wanted to go do this here. So this happens all the time. We have the marriage of digital, capturing digital movement with filmmaking, right? Live action filmmaking. So if you can just preserve a film set and all of the activity and the buzz and the magic that's going on with that, you can then just have this, incredible digital software and just make tweaks and add things at any moment in time. So it's endless. You can add cameras, you can delete cameras as you see necessary, and never stop.
Yeah, and the camera package is something we take pride on in our software.
Yes, definitely.
That's one of those things that allows a director to move physically in physical space with the virtual camera inside a virtual reality headset. So all of this is happening inside a VR headset, inside a Quest 3 or a Vive. So you are literally moving around in that space, and when you bring a camera in and your remote is now, your controller is now your camera, and so you would move it the way you would move a real camera. And I think, that lets them experience it and shoot it like they're shooting live action.
Speaking of headsets, are there any limitations as far as hardware? Are there any headsets that maybe would not work, or is it kind of just open to any hardware that maybe just runs on Steam VR, or again, just any limitations as far as the headsets go?
Currently, we support the Vive, the Steam VR, and then we support Quest, and we are developing for the Vision Pro. So other than that, we're not on Samsung Gear VR. I mean, those things aren't around anymore anyways, and the Daydream, and that's killed as well. So, so basically we do support the headsets that are on the market, right?
Feeling like a millennial, yeah. Days of old. Scope is a cool thing to talk about, though, in terms of height and size. So we're obviously in an office in downtown Los Angeles. We had a really fun show where there's a big city environment where cars need to be racing.
Right.
And obviously, we can't operate a camera and get those crazy, drone shots and so on and so forth. So if we had had more time, or if anyone is ever interested in having a demo and you're in Los Angeles, please come by. But if we were to go farther down with the tutorial, we have a scale button where we can essentially go into God mode and do these really cool aerial shots by making ourselves bigger, keeping the same size, obviously, within the camera controls, but we can just scale ourselves super high up above any environment and kind of equate whatever, do the math on what height we need to be with whatever shot we want and operate a camera in various sizes and scopes to get an appropriate shot, really honestly, by just standing completely still. It's all in the headset and it's all in the controllers and it's all in the manipulations that the proprietary Mindshow software has developed.
And yeah, you can parent the camera to any objects. You can move an object in a very particular way and then put a swing arm in the camera on top of it. And it's just, you can really go nuts.
That actually was going to be one of my next questions was, do you have the ability to put the camera on, say, on a car or parent it? So yes, that's fantastic. I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah, we have non-uniform rational, B-spline based curve and pathing system. So you can, move the camera around, like she was saying, the Hot Wheels, the tracks, and it's very smooth. And the amount of things you can do with it is sometimes you cannot pull this off. Even in live action sets without a massive amount of machinery and budget.
Time and budget, right. I mean, there's nothing worse than, the sun's going down, you have 3 minutes to get the shot, the permit's this, there's 100 people on set, but not with Mindshow. You can get the shot exactly how you want it, and there's the time. It's just however much time you can be in headset and want to play around with whatever ideas you have in your mind or client wants.
Excellent, awesome, guys. I absolutely appreciate everything you guys have done. I appreciate your time. I think your tech and your integration is amazing. I'm a huge advocate for building again when Unreal released the ability to build your environments virtual, like you put a headset on, you can build your environments virtually. I just was always like, why aren't other people doing things similar to this? Why aren't we doing things where you can put yourself in real time inside the environment and be able to build out what you want? So again, what you guys are doing is fantastic. It really is amazing. So Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we've been a fan of Xsens for 3 years now, so we've come a long way and have so much more to go. So glad to finally be here and talk about it all.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, guys. All right. Next on the list, we have Teflon Sega. Teflon is an incredible content creator, musician, and he's a virtual production guru. If you haven't seen his work yet, please check out his YouTube and Instagram. We're going to have those posted so you guys can check that out. They're absolutely amazing. Teflon has had the opportunity to work with massive names like Metallica, and he's had the chance to perform at a virtual concert alongside people like Justin Bieber and The Weeknd. So if we can, please, let's welcome Teflon Sega. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Glad to be here. Yeah, let's spin it. Let's see what you got.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to jump off here. We're going to play this video and we'll get you going.
I bet so Tuesday to roll. Who the hell is that?
Tuesday works for me too.
Is that Teflon?
I think it is.
Yeah, it is, guys. It's Teflon. Oh my God.
They cut me off. You're my tourniquet. My tourniquet. When I'm down, you let me live. God damn it, I'm just trying to live. I know this pleasure
Yeah, so first of all, hello world. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be part of the Mocap family, and I think what makes my story unique as a mocap artist is a few things. I'm completely indie. All the animations on my page, I make myself. You know, being, first and foremost, I'm a singer and a music producer. And I just want to go back for a second. Music is my first love. I naively signed a major label deal. And like many others before me, and probably unfortunately many others after me, I was put on the shelf. I was unable to release music. And this is kind of where my story was born, right? Out of the limitations of being on a bad contract and unable to release music. I started to put it all together. So, I tried to release music quietly on SoundCloud while I was under this contract. The major label found it, pulled it all down, and I was unable to get off this label. And I realized I was going to have to get a lot more creative to release music and to pursue my art. So at the time, I had a friend of mine. I drew up a character, an avatar, and I gave it to a friend of mine, a 2D animator, and he brought it to life in 2D. And I started releasing music. The very first song I released was picked up by Radio BBC One, and which was shocking, you know what I mean? I didn't have any PR or anything, man. I was just uploading music under this name, Teflon Sega, anonymously. And the second song I released went to the number 4. It charted number 4 on the Spotify global charts. So things were starting to move, and I was excited, but also kind of terrified because I was doing this all in breach of contract under one of these evil major labels. I didn't know what was going to happen. Fast forward, I get off the label drops me, and I sort of say, okay, to myself, I guess I'll do a face reveal and tour on this music, right? Because there's an audience now, and what else am I going to do? So I set a date that I'm going to do this face reveal. And it was really interesting because unanimously all of the listeners essentially said the same thing. They said, do not do this. We do not want you to ruin this world that you've created. We want the avatar world. That's what we want. So do not do a human face reveal and keep building this world out. So I was like, that's really interesting. How the hell am I going to do that? And really the only answer for real time was motion capture. So funny side note, by the way, is after getting dropped by the major label, this same major label reached out to me as Teflon Sega wanting to sign me. Of course, I thought that was kind of a hilarious little footnote, but yeah, so fast forward, I teamed up with Wave. I did a concert series using Xsens and kind of explored all the different ways to be a musician using Xsens. I started making my own music videos using Unreal Engine and motion capture. I live streamed the creation of my album on Twitch as an avatar. I was lucky to find some mentors online that held my hand a little bit through the process of learning motion capture and Unreal Engine. But, everything, I had no background in 3D, no background in animation again. And a huge chunk also of what I learned was through YouTube, what I call YouTube University. And as of late, I've been exploring short form comedy animations, just a little bit of a side quest. But what I've been told from people at TikTok and Instagram is that animation in whatever form it gets people's attention quicker and it holds their attention longer, which solves a huge problem in today's, in any kind of, if anybody's trying to grab people's attention in this era of short attention spans, animation solves that problem in a lot of ways. So I grew from about 100,000 followers to 2 million in about 6 months, just in that pivot to short form. So yeah, using motion capture has allowed me to paint a whole new canvas. And to be honest, I'm having way more fun in this world I'm building than I ever had, as a human musician in my past life. So I can sort of break all the rules of reality and tell stories that, only my imagination could conjure up before. And I'm not very technical at all. So I think this speaks to the ease of use when it comes to motion capture animation and Unreal Engine animation. I think that's like probably the key takeaway from my story is, if I'm someone that has zero background in animation or tech or 3D, I really just want to see more indie creators sort of jump into the world building, into the creation of characters. And what I really encourage people that are already in mocap or interested in mocap is to break the rules of reality, right? To venture away from realism and to stylize your avatars. One of my good friends is going to actually launch a class in stylizing avatars. He's going to launch it this summer. His name's Pixel Urge for anyone interested. But yeah, make unique characters, make hybrid characters that are hybrid of different species, and use science fiction as a tool to create, these avatars. And I would also really lean into having your characters participate in human culture to make them relatable. You know what I mean? And that can come in many forms. That can come in the forms of trending audio, or participating in trends on TikTok, or just participating in the conversation of what's happening in current events in any way. I think that brings, there's an element of live streaming or just content creation that can bring these characters to life in the conversation of what's happening. And as far as performance goes, for anybody using motion capture, I think one technique that I'd recommend that I've fallen into is doing, 4 or 5 performances of one, whatever you're trying to capture. So in other words, experiment. Okay, here's my safe performance. Here's my take 2, take 3. Maybe I'm going to try something that improv on the fly. Take 4. Maybe I'm going to go a little more while out. A lot of the times when I review my performances, some of the stuff that I did on take 5, take 6 is where the magic is. So I think a huge part of motion capture is trying to capture these really authentic feeling moments or performances that, really feel more visceral and less uncanny. So that's a huge thing I would recommend, is just capture a lot of performances and review them all in your avatar and see what kind of convinces you. I was listening to an interview with Andrew Gordon, who directed a lot of the Pixar movies, anything from Monsters, Inc. to Toy Story. And what's unique about him is he's like me, he's a creator that also animates. So he realized that a lot of the characters making visceral emotion, where it felt like, what am I trying to say? That it felt like they were conveying the emotion. He wouldn't even know until after seeing the performance in the character. So I think what I'm trying to say is you really have to see the animation attached to your avatar before you can judge whether or not it's something your avatar would do. So yeah, just get a lot of performances and see what it looks like in context with your avatar. And that's what's so great about using Xsens at home is I'm not running up a bill in studio time. I can perform all day and audition all these performances at home with no cost. And, you know, that's just an incredible ability for an indie to be able to experiment like that. And, you know, I'm cranking out 1 minute of animation almost a day on my TikTok, which I think is pretty disruptive. You know, this is a testament to how incredible motion capture technology is. So, you know, where a lot of other animators are keyframing and 1 minute would take 3 to 6 plus weeks, I can do it in a day. And of course, I'm not going for perfection. You can see, if you visit my TikTok, Teflon Sega, you can see the bar line. You know, I'm not going to compare to an animation studio, but one of my last videos had 100 million views. So it does work, right? And there is something to be said about frequency. Yeah, I mean, I want to empower indies, right? I have a class on Skillshare of how, it's a very beginner class on how to be a live streaming motion capture creator. And, you know, I think what's most exciting to me in art is when all of this stuff kind of gets democratized, you know what I mean? When people can make a hit song in their bedroom, right? That to me is really exciting. They didn't have to go to an expensive studio. And I think that's going to continue to happen in animation, in world building, in storytelling, in TV, in film. I think the most creative minds should win. I don't think it necessarily should be up to, you know, getting a budget approved or working your way into the politics of a major label or a major studio. If you have great content and you have creative ideas, we want to give you the tools. I think that's the story of the indie, you know, the success of indie creators. And I feel like I'm part of that wave, and I want to be part of that wave, and I want to empower people to be part of that wave. So yeah, I think it's more or less, that's my story. I think motion capture and 3D and animation was never part of my plan. The ship was kind of steered by my audience, and shout out to my listeners for kind of creating this journey for me. Honestly, I've just been trying to paint the picture that they had in their minds the whole time. So yeah, I think we can go to some questions. And I'm just kind of reading the comments here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Yeah, shout out to Xanadu. Someone's mentioning Xanadu, who was a mentor of mine for a while, who taught me a lot of, you know, he's an indie creator now, and he has a show called Xanadu, but he kind of came from, you know, the Hollywood stuff and taught me a lot of the kind of some of that DNA of like, okay, here's some of the rules of lighting and cameras. So I'm always trying to shoot for the Xanadu Barlin. But what's up, Justin? We can rock some questions now.
What's up, man? Yeah. You know, I know we spoke earlier. We weren't going to go too deep into tech, but the number one question that's popping up for you is, how are you doing this right now?
Doing what?
How are you streaming your avatar?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So everything for me is Unreal Engine, which is just so amazing, man. It's a free, and I can't believe it's free. It's a free app where you can use all of these tools for free. So my avatar is a metahuman, and which is another free tool. And obviously I did a little bit of hacking, and I had a buddy of mine help me kind of shape it. And, you know, we changed the skin color, obviously. But yeah, this is Unreal Engine. This is an avatar in Unreal Engine. And, you know, this is just another free app on the phone called Live Link. Plug it in, you're good to go. So, you know, for me being an introvert and also kind of being someone who likes to be at home in general, I do a lot of talks where a lot of people have to travel to these things, and I'm just in the bedroom, bro. I'm just kicking it. I'm gonna, you know, finish this up and make some music. So it's kind of like this whole avatar thing has solved a lot of stuff in my life because, you know, I'm an introvert, man. I really didn't want to tour. I would do it if I had to, but I love being able to do performances from home. I love being able to hang out with my audience, make, you know, do Twitch streams, do stuff like this right now. I love all this stuff. I love doing this stuff, but, you know, at the same time, I am kind of a homebody. I love just making art at the house. So yeah, what you're seeing right now is Unreal Engine live stream using OBS, using Live Link Face on the phone. Nothing too fancy, man.
Nice. Let's see. We got another one here. It says, how do you go about producing the music videos from scratch at home? And do you choreograph all the scenes yourself? That's kind of it's a big question, but that's next up.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's so awesome about animation is it made me think about music differently. Like now when I create the song, I'm sort of thinking about the visual in tandem. You know, they kind of go together. So I'll look at the Unreal Engine marketplace and kind of like, oh, here's a castle. You know, maybe I should be fighting a dragon in this music video. Well, then I better make this song a little more orchestral and brooding. So it's all kind of like one now to me. And it is a lot, making a music video and a song, and it's just like super fun. You feel like you're kind of like making little movies, you know, and I don't build the environments. I download them or purchase them online from either like Kitbash or the Unreal Engine marketplace. And, you know, that's a big lift. I don't do any of the modeling. I just kind of like Kitbash things together, which makes it a lot easier. And someone shared for a little while I was doing split screen. I really wanted to showcase the tech. So I was showing the mocap, showing the Xsens Mocap happening, you know, and I filmed it as a one shot for the music video because I really want people to see like, you know, here I am in a garage right now, doing all this as a one shot, which kind of made it fun, you know, a little showcase of what I was doing. Yes, right. Kitbash is amazing, by the way, anybody who is not familiar. Like AAA cinematic environments and kits you can buy online. And they are being used in like Hollywood films. So it's like pretty incredible.
Okay. Another question. Where do you see it going from here as far as what you do for short-term media and real-time animation?
I think like what I was saying before, I see it as a big shift, right? Like, so Hollywood's crazy right now because a lot of animation studios are shutting down and are going to continue to shut down. Budgets just ain't what they used to be. And you have these phenomenal stories of solo creators. If you guys haven't heard of Has Been Hotel, it's a girl who's a creator and, you know, she's disrupting all these industries. 8 of her songs from the show are trending on Spotify global charts. You know, she's the most streamed show on Amazon. This is someone that just built a animation show on YouTube. So I say this to say there's a huge opportunity for solo creators and animators to build worlds and, you know, to build. The next few years are in an unbelievable opportunity. I think you're going to see a lot of solo creators and animators making household names out of shows and storytelling and world building. And it's going to be really exciting. And I'm here for that, man. I want to make and build out more of a world and characters on a YouTube. And, you know, when you think of like classic stories, you know, Has Been Hotel is one of those examples. She's got music videos, she's got, you know, characters, you know, that she builds out individually and collectively on a YouTube. But now she's, you know, she's for the star, she's shot to the stars, and now she's on Amazon and doing on her terms, doing all the building in the bigger channels. But yeah, long story long, I see it as now it's going to be the indies. It's going to be a big swing to the indies, you know.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you on that, 100%. Let's see. Next question here. Which Movella products do you use for your motion capture?
So yeah, I'm using Xsens. I'm using the bodysuit. It's hilarious. I don't even really know which model it's called, but it's like amazing. I go into like these huge studios, like, you know what I mean? Like $1 million studios with Vicon, and I look at what they're creating and I'm like, damn, I get the same, in my opinion, fidelity looking takes at home with Xsens. I don't have a studio overhead, you know what I mean? I'm not paying rent at a warehouse, and I don't have $100,000 Vicon. I have, you know, I'm an indie at home with Xsens, using MVN to HD process the information, using Manus gloves, and yeah, just making it work right out of the home studio.
Right, we got another question. It's not mocap related, but they asked, how do you keep going after the first event with the labels, and how did you gain the confidence?
Yeah, man, it's really sad in the music industry because I've seen a lot of talent become what I call victims of the music industry, where they get a bad deal and they kind of stop. You know what I mean? It burns them out. It's the end of their story. But I don't know, man. For me, like, I'm not happy unless I'm creating. Like, if I'm idle, I'm a really sad person. So I think for me, it was never really about, you know, I guess the easiest way to say it is like, I play to play. I don't really play to win. So just the journey is the win for me. And, you know, I just had to keep going. There was no other option. It did make me really sad kind of going through the major label experience and seeing all the talent, unbelievably talented humans on the shelf, you know, stopping their journey and you know, kind of leaving, creating, and going back to the real world and doing normal jobs. People that are wildly creative, way more phenomenally creative than I ever was. So it is heartbreaking seeing that. It does happen all the time. And look, man, these industries had a lot of power for a very long time, and they abused it. And I think we're in this beautiful era where you can, you know, like, I put out one TikTok and it can go 100 million views. In the traditional old school world, a major label would have spent millions and millions of dollars for that kind of marketing that an indie can now get for free. So, you know, these discovery algorithms, they are your marketing. You don't need anybody. You do not need to sign a single contract to be wildly successful. You just need to learn how to be yourself in the context of these algorithms, you know. So I just think it's this amazing era to be an indie. And, you know, the reality is, like, musicians, these majors are just signing up people that went viral on their own anyway. Like, you don't even need them. You have all the tools you need right now. So, you know, I guess musicians, don't ever sign a major. Own all your stuff, you know, and use, if you can, you know what I mean? Like, I really recommend, you know, artists and animators, and bring the music into the fold, like, you know, make it, which is, again, like Has Been Hotel, shout out to her, because that's a huge influence on me right now. She rolled it all up animation, music, storytelling. That's like really the dream for me. But yeah, like right now in the next few years, like don't worry about AI. Like don't trip about anything, because this golden era right now, and use this window to bring all your ideas to life. And Davion, he's saying, what does it take to he just quit his job. He's an R&B artist. What does it take to do a consultation with me? I mean, just DM me, bro. I'll respond to stuff for free. You don't need to, anything I can do to help a fellow musician, DM me on Instagram.
When you are looking for collaborations and integrating new tech, what are your biggest green flags?
Green flags. What you mean?
So I guess maybe just like what are the things you look for as in a positive note? What are those things that you're looking for that make you want to reach out for those collaborations or using new tech?
I mean, I don't know. It's like weird for me because I don't think about tech at all ever. It's just like this passive tool to try to paint on a canvas. I don't know, man. I don't really know how it's a good question. But yeah, I mean, I'll implement any tool I can into the pipeline that just allows the creativity to flow quicker. You know what I mean? Like, I've been using, a lot of my peers are talking negatively about AI, but I've been using some AI to create music instrumentals, and when that lifts in column A, then I can be more creative in column B. So it's like, use whatever tools you can that allow you to be more creative. Like if something can lift in column A and then you can be more creative in column B, like, you know what I mean? It's all about just using these tools. Don't get caught up in like a lot of the negativity or the fear of the future. I think you just got to live in the now. It's the only thing we got, and use whatever tools you can, man.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Teflon, again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on, just talking, telling your story. If again, for anybody here who has not had the chance to go to his socials, we're going to make sure those are posted. Check out his content. It is fantastic. It's amazing. It really is. And again, pretty much everything he does is just individually done by him, and it's incredible. It really is. So again, that. Teflon, thank you, man. I really appreciate your time.
Oh man, it's a huge honor. Mocap power.
All right, guys, we're coming down to the end. So our last speakers today are going to be John Stavas, Josh Lattin, and Brady Keehn from Heat. Heat is an incredible company that simplifies 3D animation for everyone, enabling creators to utilize motion data in a streamlined and user-friendly way. They also enable users to bring their finished animations to other 3D programs such as Unreal, Unity, and Blender for further integrations into games and virtual content. So please help me welcome John, Josh, and Brady. If you guys are there, you guys can hop on stage.
All right. Well, hello. My name is John Stavas, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Heat. And you guys are joining me live from my bedroom. This is awesome. And this presentation is going to be called Moving with Heat, and how to use your Xsens data with the Heat ecosystem, right? And so what is Heat, right? We're basically a browser-based as well as bridge-based software that allows you to utilize your motion data, right? And we work with lots of systems, including Rococo, Move AI, Viacom, but in particular, Heat, we use in our studio Xsens. We use the Xsens suits to make large amounts of motion data, and we put it on our platform, right? And what we're doing is we're building what we believe to be the world's largest repository of human movement, right? And we're coupling that into a marketplace with creator tools and plugins, right? What type of plugins? Well, you guys might be seeing some stuff familiar. I don't know if any of you have all heard of a platform called Mixamo, you know, a platform that we love. Well, we're trying to build and expand upon that idea, right? So we have an AI auto rigging system that's really powerful. We have awesome tools for Unreal Engine, for Blender, for Unity. We just launched a massive partnership with Daz and all these things, as well as a marketplace, right? And this is why we're here, okay? And to take it all the way back, we're all artists at heart. And during the pandemic, the CTO of our company, his name is Brady Keehn. He is also a magnificent musician in a band called Sextile, as well as in a band called Panther Modern. And I'm a long-time collaborator with him in his music. I would direct music videos, make tons of crazy animations and things like that. But he always had this idea. It's like, how do we allow for me to get my movement to people, to share my movement, to profit off of my movement? Because the truth is, movement is a commodity. You see it all over the place. You see it on TikTok, where people will do one dance and the shit will go so viral and it will break an artist, right? This is just literally a dance. And so we all came together to kind of create this new type of platform where you can sell your movement data to this massive new market of creators in the 3D space, game studios, as well as just 3D generalists all over the place, right? So we are launching a very powerful marketplace that I want you guys to, participate in, right? But how does this all work, right? You might be asking yourself, okay? So let's check this out. So let's exit out of this guy. Let's just go over here. Let's open up heat.tech. Oops, let's go right here. Can you see the screen? Oh, you can't see it right now. So let me just disable screen sharing, get back to it, share screen. Let's go back to a full window. Let's go here. Boom. You guys see this? Everyone, yes? Awesome, awesome. So we are on heat.tech's website, right? And so you could log in, very simple user login process. And what you can actually do is you can do a few things. You can actually go to the library if you want to explore a massive motion library of over 1,000 animations, all made with Xsens, right? It's a big punch. I love this one. Boom, look at this guy. And these are just fun things that we make in our little tiny studio because we're also all independents as well, right? But one of the powerful things that you can do is we'll go back to the Discover page. You can go to the Create tab, on the top on this left side. You see it? And you could actually upload your own movement. And so we take a massive variety of movement files, So if you are using Character Creator to process your Xsens movement data or something like that, and you clean it up and use a Character Creator, bone mapping, it works. We take stuff deep motion. We take Mixamo animations. If you have a Mixamo rig, Move AI, Move 1, Rococo, Newton, Rigify, animations that are done with UE5, UE4, and last but not least, our favorite, Xsens, right? So you could click this retargeting system. And I'm just going to drag and drop a Xsens HD reprocessed file. So let's say you're in MVN and you do a bunch of captures and HD reprocess it. You can actually drag that FBX file directly on our platform, hit the upload button. It'll process the movement file. And just like that, there it is. Your animation is retargeted and converted into a heat animation file, just like that. And one of the cool and there's also a bunch of fun little creator tools on the left-hand side. Let's see. So something that, this is kind of a file from when I was a little bit of a noob, and you can tell that I actually put the sensor a little bit too low on this side, but that's all right. It still looks really nice. But you could do things like bring the shoulders out, bring the elbows in a little bit. Let's say your character is a little off the ground. Sometimes animation systems, the character is way funky and it's way off the ground. You can actually just come in and let's put them back on the ground like that. There's a speed thing. And if your character is weirdly rotated or something, which it probably won't be, you could just use these rotation buttons. But a really interesting tool that we also built is something that you might not know is important, but I find to be very important. It is recentering the origin of the animation. And something that Xsens does is it actually puts an origin point on the right. It actually puts the origin and the beginning point at the right foot right over here. And we actually did this little button here, hip to root. What you do, you can click it and it actually recenter your entire animation. Something really nice here. Then what you're able to do from there is just convert it into the heat animation file and save it to your profile. And then you get to use it through all of our incredible plugins, right? As well as sell it on the marketplace. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So what's happening right now is we're just creating a GIF file, and we're trying to optimize this to make it faster. But what you can see here is now your animation is ready to be labeled. So let's call it the MCC Big Flip time. Let's go. And then you could say John Alexander, who is writing nice words about me in the comments. Spell that right. Is a boss. And then you could see right here in the skeleton, this is a hip-based motion, as the translation data is based at the hip versus the root, because you could just basically see that this root actually doesn't move. So we can actually turn this into a hip motion right there. Let's select some tags. Let's do, it's a cheer, it's a action, it's a dance. Oops, let me spell dance correctly. It is a dance. It is a emote. Boom. And let's upload it. Congratulations. Your movement is ready to be used in Unreal Unity Blender plugins. Right? And so this is my profile. And so right here, you can basically see I have all the animations, but then I can go to my uploads. You see I have a bunch of animations uploaded because I've been beta testing this thing for so long. Right? And so it's somewhere around here in this whole thing. There it is. Big time flip. And it's available in the marketplace. All right. But how do you use all these animations, right? We kind of have like this, a little bit of a closed system at the moment, but we're opening up to that as we launch our auto rigging system, when you could bring your own characters onto the platform, apply your animations to it, make it really cool. But currently the method is we would like you to download the Heat plugins and bridge system. And so first I'm going to show you Unreal, right? So you could, and we're working with Unreal, so it's available on the marketplace. It has 5-star reviews. People love it. If you try to use it, please give us a nice review. Or for things like Heat Bridge, you can use it for Blender, Unity, as well as DAZ, right? So what we're going to do now is, let me see here. If I move this, I am going to reshare. I'm going to disable screen sharing again. We'll go back to screen sharing. I'm going to do an entire screen this time, and we're going to see my whole desktop. Y'all see this? Everyone's good to go. Move this over here. Move this over here, and guess what? We are in Unreal Engine, a legendary platform where you go to really discover if you can handle this ecosystem. Unreal is a wild space, right? So we have a blank file right here, and what I did is I installed the Heat plugin, and you could simply do it by just going to the Unreal Engine Marketplace and just install the plugin there. You could do that. You could basically go to where we at right here, plugins, and then what you'll be able to do is you could type in Heat right here, and then it'll be right there. And so we're in the beta version. This works at 5.2, 5.3, and lots of other things. And so then you can go, and so once it's installed, you can go to Windows, go to Heat. It is right here. It'll load. I already actually have it opened up. It'll load right here. And then you can go to your library, right? You can see I'm signed in. Go in. You go to your uploaded animations. And what did I call it? MCC or something like that. MCC something. There it is. There's the dry run that we did the other week. And then there's MCC Big Flip Time. Let's go. Just like that. There's your character. MCC Big Flip Time. Let's go. Is it working? Looks great. Just like that. And you could do things like bring it directly onto a metahuman. So you could drag and drop the GIF, and just like that, pushes forward, grabs the animation. When it's like the first time you've uploaded it and brought it on, it takes a second. Just like that, now you have your Heat animation on a metahuman. Right. And then down here, you could see here that you have like a variety of things to choose from, like a fun T69H model, mannequin UE5 character. Let's just grab this guy, just like that, pull him on. Let's do T69H, the legendary character from our ecosystem, drag and drop it in, just like that. And let's say maybe a user model-based character like this this guy, whatever, this cool guy right here. Boom, just like that. And now you could use your Movella HD reprocess Xsens data in Unreal in a very quick and seamless way. And this is really exciting, because I have done tons of workflows, right? And a lot of people might be doing real-time streaming, right? From, let's say, going directly from MVM into Unreal and real-time streaming that. But the thing is Movella has a very awesome HD reprocessing system that really does a good job at cleaning up the animations and making sure everything looks really well. And it's kind of an annoying process to then do that and then bring everything into Unreal. I have a difficult time doing that. Also, just applying it to metahumans, you have to do the IK retargeting system and lots of other things like that. It just kind of makes creativity a little bit harder. And what we're trying to do is make it easier. And one of the cool things about this is then this also allows you to just have an integrated motion data library directly at the tip of your finger, right? So you could collaborate with other people. You can use other animations like this guy, Simple Steppin'. That one's really fun. You can come in and let's say this guy's going to be explaining what you're seeing. So you throw him in the scene just like that. He's doing his little talk. And last but not least, let's make an animation sequence. Just like that. So we have this right here, this little animation track. I want to, let's say, do some shadow boxing. You actually drag and drop the GIF directly in there, and it will apply, generate right there in the sequence. Let me actually move this out of the way so we can see what's going on. Let's get, sorry, sir, I'm going to have to delete you. But just like that, now you have this character in your sequencer. Let's get rid of this guy too. This character in your sequencer. Get some serious shadow boxing in. Looking real good. Very fun. Let's see here. Boom, boom. And then from there, you could do something like bake to the mannequin control rig. Create that. And now you have a freaking mannequin control rig, and you can clean up your animations even more. Does that make sense? Everyone good to go? All right, cool. Let's do some more sharing. So do we have a lot of people that use Blender? Can someone get in the chat and see what's going on? Is anyone here use Blender in the chat? Blender, we got Maya. Okay, Colin, we have a big Maya plugin coming soon. We're collaborating with them to make it super easy to go directly from Heat into the HK retargeting. So super, super awesome workflow that we're working there. It's coming very soon. We can just do a couple things at a time. But since we got Blender, and also John Alexander, you can add, one of the cool things too is like you could blend Heat animations together because they're all standardized. That's really awesome, right? So let me see if I can just do that real quick. Let's just like delete this guy. Right, so I already made a control rig for him. I don't know how to delete these characters, but let's say you have, let's do a metahuman, right? Let's just do like what's a walk? Sorry, this thing is all capitalized, but here's a silly walk, right? Let's choose Hannah. Let's choose Cooper. I like Cooper. A simple, silly walk, right? Just like this. Boom. He's right there. Right. Let's grab this guy. Just move him over here a little bit. Sometimes metahumans, I do apologize. Sometimes metahumans are kind of glitchy in 5.3, as you can see. But let's see here. There's Cooper. He's doing a silly walk. He walks out of the screen. Right. And you can see right here that now I can actually grab one of these guys. And let's just do a wave over. I can actually grab the same animation you see at the bottom. I have metahumans and Cooper selected. I can grab it. I can actually drag and drop it in here, and it will directly append that animation just like that to the back of this. And what you might have noticed, though, is that he reappears here because this guy walks way out of the screen. So you see he's all right there. And then he reappears right there. And even if you blend the animations together, he shoots back to the back. But as we all know, you can match the bone of the previous clip, type in foot, R, just like that. So when he finishes his walk cycle, he goes directly in to the new animation. This is a really cool thing. Just like that, into the animation. This is because we've standardized the entire animation workflow within Heat. All these animation files are now similar, right? In terms of their bone orientation, the way in which their roots work. And because of that, you can now actually combine multiple animation types, right? So you can actually do Xsens animation data, and let's say your friend has a Move AI or something like that, and you're like, I want to blend them both together, because my friend's in Germany and I am in LA. I have a studio, he doesn't, but he's an awesome movement artist. You could just use that program and then just easily, combine these animations. Let's go into Blender. Let's see here. Sorry for my crazy stuff. Do I have Blender? Blender 4.0? Exciting. Okay. So let's take you back to the Heat website as well as we're here. Right. On the Heat website, download plugins. What we were just seeing was the Unreal one. But now for a lot of other things, there's the Heat bridge. Right. And this bridge is kind of like one of our softwares that you're allowed to bring onto your desktop. So when our AI auto rigger is done and all the upload portal and everything, if you don't want to go to heat.tech, you can actually just use the Heat bridge directly on your platform, right? And so let's open up the Heat bridge. Actually, let's do this first. Get rid of all this. Make sure we have the Heat plugin signed in, right? You just basically add the plugin very similar to how you would do before. And let's type in, where is the Heat bridge? So let's open up the Heat bridge. Boom. This is the Heat bridge. Y'all still with me? All right, cool. So we have the Heat bridge. Simply sign in, just like that. I'm now in the Heat bridge. What you're going to see, you're going to look in the corner here. Boom. Blender connected. Something really interesting with the Heat bridge is that we have a way to choose the program that you're sending it to. A lot of people use a lot of different platforms, right? And so what we're kind of doing is kind of taking this cargo by kitbash type method where it's like you could download this on your computer, you have all this access, and then you could send it right to something else. Okay. And so what you're able to do is you're able to select Blender, and you see that I have it selected. And then what you're able to do, let's do a walk cycle. Again, let's do silly walk, right? Or we'll just do, let's see, casual walk loop. There's a casual walk loop, and we'll bring this directly into the scene. So what you're able to do is you're able to see at the bottom, it's a selected casual walk loop. And let's hit this little guy right here, this little green export FBX is a T6.H model. And then you hit it, import, just like that. It's being sent into the scene. Boom, and now you have a walk loop in your scene. Why is this cool, right? Well, if you go into, let's make this sequence 700. But why is this cool, right? So if you go into the NLA editor, you can see now you have these keyframes. And you're able to turn it into an action strip. Okay, so now it's an action strip. But then you can come back here and let's say wave. Let's do the wave over again. I like this wave over one. And so what you're able to then do is actually click on this other button, this little square that's like kind of perforated, right? And if you have the T6.9H selected, import that again, just like that. And you'll see on the left-hand side, that wave is now on top of the character, right? And you can turn that into an action strip. And I love this part because what you can actually do now is you could say, all right, I want to do this and I want to blend into this, right? So you go there, let's do a little blend. Let's do like a 10% blend. As you're going forward, you'll notice something. Guy's walking forward. Whoop, he shoots back to the origin. The bane of all of our existence. This is such a crappy program in this and Blender that it just makes people go crazy. Oops, sorry, I accidentally just sent another animation on top of this guy by clicking this out. Let me just redo this. Let's just screw that. Let's delete that. And so just like that, this walk casual walk, blends, shoots back to the origin. I hate this. But now, because everything's standardized with heat, you can highlight both of these clips and hit this Sing Bone Position button. Boom. Hit it. So just like that, animation, the guy's walking forward. Boom. Just like that, you're now able to sync where the animation ends to where the new animation is. And from there, you could do something like have these highlighted, and then you go to the Quick Bake Action tool that I just built. This will then now turn this into a new animation. And why is this cool? Because let's bring a character in. Everyone knows Mixamo, so we'll bring a Mixamo character in. Let me see if I have one somewhere, anywhere in here. Let's do this one. Let's import this FBX. Let's see if it decides to come in. There it is. Look at this guy. Everyone knows this guy. Very famous character. What we can then do is simply press N, go to the heat tools, and guess what? We have our own heat retargeting. We built our own custom retargeting system that exists throughout all of our plugins and tools that make it easy to use. So let's choose the armature for heat. Let's choose this new armature. I think his name is Ortiz. And we've all seen this build a bone list. Let's check the bone list to make sure everything's there. I just realized that upper arm, left arm didn't make its way in, but that's okay because I'll do that. You go all the way through. Right arm didn't make it in. That's okay. I'll just type in right arm and it goes in. Just like that, we have all of their bones. We target the animation. It works perfectly. Let's turn off T6. And just like that, your animation is now on your character and it's all blended together. He's excited. He's saying, hey, come here. I want to tell you about heat. We have a bunch of other tools too that you might want to play with. There's a lot of documentation. One of them, which is a pose reset. One of which is a pose reset button. So this is for people who need to do like kind of advanced retargeting in Blender, because Blender has a tough time with pose assets, right? And what you could do is you could basically like repose your character and turn that pose, which is basically this like tiny frame. It's like a T pose that's kind of invisible, right? And you can turn it to the rest position, thus making it like way easier to retarget, right? That way you don't have these like weird broken arms and things in Blender. Let's just do it. And recently we just kind of partnered with Daz. Is there any Daz people here? I know the Blender 4.2 animation system is getting redone, and they've been saying that for like 10 years. Okay. And the one thing that they're saying, I mean, because I've talked to some of those guys over there, but it's like, all right, cool. They're going to allow you to merge, basically like animation strips together, but it's still the issue that you're going to run into is the fact that literally animations will shoot back to the origin after they do, right? Because they can't control, because Blender cannot control the standardization of the animation asset that you are using. So that's what we do at Heat. We basically control the standardization of the bone orientation, the movement files, and how they're all brought in, right? That's something that Blender, it's too crazy, right, to do. So yeah. Does anyone here use Daz? Just curious. All right, dude, John. Let's run this, John. Just as from John to John, I'm doing this for you, sir. Let's open up Daz, my friend. Boom. I'm not very good at Daz. I am horrible at Daz. Okay? But I will show you Daz. So, what you're able to do, actually, which is really cool with Daz, let's go into like a better, was this wireframe mode? All right, cool. So we're in Daz. Let's get the heck out of Blender. So we're in Daz, right? You can actually download this Heat Bridge, and it's free. It's on the DAZ Marketplace. Let me see here if I can find it. DAZ 3D Heat Bridge. Let me see if I can find it. Boom. Here it is right here. Sadly enough, it's only for Windows. I apologize. We're going to get this. We're going to get this coming. We're going to get this for Apple soon. But Apple is the most brutal platform to become a developer for, but whatever. But you can actually just go in here, download it, add it to your cart. You use I think it's called the DAZ 3D installation manager. And then just like that, check this out. Check this out, y'all. So let's go in here. Let's go to the Smart Content folder. Figures. Let's be PG-13 and do just one of these like males. Just like that. Boom. Let's go to I'm so bad at this. Texture shading. Cool. Look at this guy right here. Right? Guess what? You come over to here, hit this button, change it to DAZ. Let's go to the library. Let's delete wave. Let's do shadow boxing. I love this shadow boxing one. Just like this. Here's a little shadow boxing guy. Okay. And let's make sure that there's a lot more frames than just 31. Let's put like let's put like 700 frames, right? So if you have your Genesis mail right there, all you have to do is hit the import button. Sends it in. Boom. Congratulations. Now you are, wow, this is the sharing button's being blocked. But there you go. Now, whoops. Now you're cooking with gas. Just like that. And the cool thing is if you bring your Xsens data onto our platform, you could do the same thing. That's kind of all I have. What I'm going to do now is just pull this up right here. Here. Let's go to a new slide. Leave this up right here. You'll see this. And just allow you to ask any questions if you have any.
We're getting tight on time, but we got a few questions.
Cool.
The first one's actually from me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So the libraries that get generated, are these libraries private or shared or both?
It depends on what you want to do, right? So Heat's library is currently public, and you can, and we're trying to run a business here, you know, and so we're onboarding a bunch of users and stuff. And so for $25 a month, you can have access to over 1,000 animations. We have a ton more coming. So many more coming. We also have collaborations with artists like Reggie Watts, a bunch of TikTok artists and stuff that you'll be able to buy those animations directly and support them. These will be like a la carte. So it'll be like, I want to buy this really powerful 800 frame animation for like $5, you know, and those are all made with Xsens systems and stuff like that. But for you, Justin, let's say if you do not go through our creator portal and request to be a vendor, everything that you have will be private. Yes.
All right, we've got one more question here. Is Heat compatible with Reillusion tools such as Character Creator, Bases, and iClone?
Guess what? Yes. So look at this. So let me see. Reillusion. What's the Reillusion store? We have an app. We have a plugin up there. Because let me tell you, Reillusion. Oh no. Cancel that. I almost just left this thing. So if you go to the Reillusion store, you type in Heat on it. We actually created an exporter, a really dope exporter for you guys. So if you make anything in Reillusion, so if you go into Reillusion, let me see here, collections. If you go, something fun, cool. there are collections, like you can make collections. I forgot to tell you this. You can build collections, build your own things, right? Because there's a lot of animation data and you're like, damn, I want to save that one in like a dance collection. You can actually like, for instance, click right here, add to a favorite or save to a collection, right? And save it to the John Nasty collection, and it's there. Or like if it's right here, you also have this tool right here, and you can add to a favorite as well. Go into your favorites. There it is right there. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but in the upload movement character creator, so you just use the character creator one, right? That's the retargeter settings. So I don't know if you've ever been worked, if you're using iClone and you're bringing Xsens data into iClone, there's a whole motion profile system that we actually are very inspired by, where you could just choose Xsens. That's basically what this is. So if you retarget all your animation to a character creator base model, which is that you see those rigs have the CC4 on it, right? You're actually then able to just upload that animation file as well. So if you use Kevin, I think is the name of that character, and you retarget all your Xsens animation to him using their using their retargeting system, you can then export that and put it on here. You actually cannot export that out of iClone without using the Heat plugin, because Revolution wants to make some money. So they're making you buy character creator to do those batch exporting and to get those proper export settings. I don't know if you've all ever noticed that. That's just something that I'm it actually like pissed me off for an entire year, to the point in which I actually just we made our own plugin that allows you to export properly just a raw FBX motion data file out of it. Let me see if I can go to the store, products, free trial store. If I go to the store, I think it's a content store. And if I type in, I think it's Heat. Let me go to the documents. So let's go to, if you go to in the bridge, if you go to the documentation, it'll bring up the heat.tech documents. Right here. Is it in Become a Creator? Oh, yes. There's an intake form here. Let me see. Explore movements, upload to Heat, export for Heat, Revolution character creator, and what the heck? Revolution iClone. We built a tool. There it is. Look at that. It's free. Do y'all see this? Yes. Free tool, V1. Put it to your chart. Download it. Literally, it's so simple. It's just like choose the folder where your animations are in. Choose the export folder and export it. And this thing's really cool because it comes with a T69H character, so you can retarget really nicely to the characters already. This is something that works really nice. We also have a convert to root motion button that will actually take the X and Y coordinates of the hip movement and then put it on your character. So like if you're using Xsens systems and you want to convert it to like a root motion for games, you can hit that button too.
Nice. John, I really appreciate your time, man. I really do. Your tool is fantastic, and I think it's going to be something pretty special once those libraries get really, really built up. And just the integration is amazing. So again, John, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, and last thing, if you want to become a creator, I built this tool for you all. All right, I built this tool for you guys. So please email josh@heat.tech or download the plugin. Look at the notes. There's all these ways to learn how to become a creator. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, just really quick. First and foremost, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to all the speakers today. They've been great. Their invaluable insight and remarkable contributions using the Xsens technology is fantastic. I also want to express my appreciation for all the viewers that tuned in today. Thank you very much. Your presence is deeply valued. For those who may have missed any part of today's proceedings, don't worry about it. Everything has been recorded and it will be available in a little bit for viewing and sharing. And Edward did touch on this a little bit earlier, but I just wanted to announce that Edward Green, in collaboration with Movella and HTC, will be doing a joint demo at GDC. So if you are attending GDC, please make sure to mark your calendars and visit us to what promises to be an extraordinary showcase. Once again, my name is Justin. I'm a product specialist representing Movella, the creators of the Xsens motion capture suits. And thank you all for being part of this special event. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.